So we have Toni Reid here. She is in charge of all the Alexa and Echo ecosystem of devices. And I want to do this real quick. Raise your hand if you have something with Alexa in it, an Echo, something. That's about half, 60%. So that's, you have Toni to thank for that. I want to talk a little bit about your background first before we dive into other stuff. You come from an anthropology background. You have an anthropology degree. And you've been at Amazon for how many years?
Almost 20.
Almost 20. And now you're, with this interesting background, you're now running the dominant AI voice control platform. Talk a little bit about how those two, your background meshes with what you're doing now.
Yeah, I sort of call my career working on Alexa and AI a little bit accidental. I graduated with a degree in anthropology with plans to get my PhD, and I ended up working in technology at Microsoft and then moved over to Amazon in 1998.
Back when it was mostly a bookstore.
It was still a bookstore
Yeah,
at the time.
Right.
We hadn't launched music yet, and so still very small company. It was post the company being public, but it was still very small. And I'll say a lot of the kind of attributes and the way Amazon operated then is very similar to how we operate now. And I will say that this degree in anthropology has actually given me, it aligns well with a lot of the values at Amazon. So we're very customer obsessed. And you'll hear that a lot from employees and the press, but it is something we kind of live day in and day out.
And this is Jeff Bezos' thing.
It is his thing, yeah. And it's something that really level sets and grounds people into the company around really working on the behalf of our customers. And so we do that very much with Alexa. We take, our goal there is around improving the lives of customers, adding more convenience in their lives. And so if you take that and you think about anthropology around this idea of what are customer needs, what are the differences in customers, and sort of being able to look out on the horizon and understand these differences, I think it's actually been an attribute for having this degree and this background versus a technology degree.
Right, and those needs are, so what are those needs? What are you finding people, you kind of put this thing out there, no one, especially in my industry, we didn't, like, what is this thing? What? And then it just took off like a rocket ship. What have you guys learned? What are the needs that people are getting? I know music is huge, but what else?
Yeah, music is a really large use case for us. People love the convenience of being able to play music through multiple providers via their voice. But we found other pieces that were really popular, smart home. When we first launched, we knew we wanted to launch smart home capabilities, but we launched with it about 4 months later. And customers, we thought, well, this is just an early adopter thing, right? And we found that, yes, that was true, but it was really it became much more mainstream with Alexa. And I think that's because voice made smart home technology even simpler. It's now voice enabled. You can say, turn on my lights, turn off my lights, and you don't have to go into an app. And that surprised us. And it actually surprised us at the usage of smart home and then the number of people buying into smart home devices as well. And then, a third piece that we've been surprised by is the personality. People love Alexa's personality, and they love to tell her to hear jokes. They say, I love you, will you marry me?
And what does Alexa say when I say, will you marry me?
She has a few different responses. One of them, I think, is thank you, I'm flattered. But, and customers ask her opinion about things. And so it was surprising to us that there was really this companionship, kind of conversational nature that was going on from very early days. And then now it makes sense because people have really taken Alexa and it's a part of the family. It's really become something more, it's human-like, and it kind of fits into the home.
It really is. I can tell you, my 18-month-old nephew, he talks to our Echo, and he just knows the music comes from that, and it's really adorable that he's going to grow up with that and just know that's happening.
I mean, we actually say that. It's interesting to think about. We're in a generation where children today will probably not know a home in which they can't speak to.
Right.
And so that's very new.
Right, and it's very natural. We saw that with cell phones and kids learning that. Now it's this whole idea. So, smart home, music. Today you had an announcement. You're going into the office. What does that mean?
Yeah, so today, I think maybe right as we speak, at reInvent, we've announced Alexa for Business. And so this is an opportunity for companies of all sizes to take the Alexa experience and integrate it into their workplace. And we found that customers have loved the experience at home, and this is a way to extend that into their workplace. So we're really excited about this announcement.
What does that look like? Does that, are people can play Pandora in their office, or what's the practical use?
Yeah, you could imagine kind of two scenarios. The office workplace scenarios that we're launching with are communications features, so you can start a meeting. I've been testing this, and it's super delightful. So when you go in to start a meeting, now it's your conferencing system, and you can we're working with Polycom and Chime, our AWS service as well. And so when I start a meeting, I just say, Alexa, start the meeting. You can end it, Alexa, end the meeting. You can reorder supplies. We've had partners who can build on the Alexa Skills Kit, and they can build their own custom private skills. And so
just internally in the
yeah,
company.
so for example, Capital One has taken and built their own skill to get updates on high severity events. And so if they have a sub 1 or sub 2 going, they can say, Alexa, what's the update on this? And so it's really it's building the Alexa for Business kind of set of APIs, and then allowing developers, in this case, some companies, to build on top of them.
Great. And then, so speaking of skills, that's another, I think, strength of this platform is, how many skills are there now? Third-party skills, approximately?
Over 25,000.
Over 25,000. So that's huge. And we see a broad range, obviously, music and smart home stuff. And what have you learned from all these third-party skills? Like, what works the best on this platform?
We're still learning. And I will say that there's a lot of breadth. So you will obviously have your top skills where people love them. So games, trivia games, Jeopardy. Jeopardy is one of our most popular skills. Okay. And so people love that. It's kind of family oriented. Those are really fun. Then you have your brands such as Starbucks, Uber, Domino's Pizza. Those are delightful skills. You can order Starbucks, pick it up on your way out, order an Uber. And then you have what I'll call this set of skills that you kind of have to have for everyone. And so it's the tail of skills. And we find a lot of people, smart home is one, news providers are another, but we find hobbyists and
it's like niche stuff.
And you've got companies such as financial services, Capital One, what is my bank account status, et cetera. So the breadth is significant for the usage.
So to me, Alexa seems kind of nebulous. It's kind of, you have your own devices. But there's also this broader ecosystem now. We're starting to see it in third-party devices, even devices that kind of mimic what you already have with the Echo. There's the Sonos One, for example. How do you guys think about that? People kind of glomming onto the platform and just creating these similar devices to you. Are you okay with that, or would you see a future where you guys kind of put a tighter reins around it?
No, we're thrilled with it.
And why?
Our vision is for Alexa to be everywhere customers want her to be. And so that will end up in places that we will never build those devices. We wouldn't be able to keep up. And so for us, it's important that the Alexa voice service itself has that distribution. And we think that these providers can build very delightful experiences. And it's sort of whether it's a different use case, a completely different segment, they will just help build out the experience for Alexa. They also can build custom skills to further. So like for automotive, as an example, there's a good example. We're not in the automotive.
Right, there's no Amazon car yet, right? Okay.
And so, but then we'll start to build new navigation domains, et cetera, for those use cases. And so not only is the Alexa voice service extended and available to more customers through more devices, but the developers themselves are building more skills, and that makes Alexa even smarter and even more useful for all customers.
Do you think that puts you guys at a greater advantage than, say, I know Apple kind of delayed their version of their follow-up to you, their HomePod, but it seems they're much more restricted. What do you think of their position versus your take on just like, let's put it in everything?
Yeah, I can't speak to sort of their decision-making criteria and why they choose to be more closed. I will say that we believe having this be open and having APIs available for developers will actually just better serve customers globally.
So this year, you guys had tons of announcements, but I think a month or two ago you had your big debut of, is there tons of devices? I think there was a doorbell thing, a camera, a answering or a phone, something you connect to your landline.
Echo Connect.
It seems like everything you can put Alexa in, you guys are doing. Is there anything that you won't put Alexa inside of?
That's a good question. Sure.
Yeah. No Alexa toilet or something, but
not yet.
Yeah.
For us, there's definitely a prioritization of sort of where we look to spend our time and effort, and some of those, we look at areas where we think we can improve the experience, create convenience, simplify the lives of customers. We'll look at the size of that usage or segment size. And so that's really what goes into our prioritization. But sure, there are also things that I'd love to do that's just, not quite above the line yet for us. So.
And so these slew of products, I think the last one, what's it called, the Spot, is coming out in a couple weeks. And I think that's it for the end of the year. You have so many. Is the idea like, let's get all these out there and see what works, and like maybe some of these drop off a year from now? Or are you guys confident that this suite of products you've made will actually, they will all take off? I'm confident they're all going to do really well. And so that doesn't mean that we know for sure that every product we build will be a 4-star product and be successful. For the Echo device line, that's actually, we've seen success repeatedly with the products that we've launched. I think Echo Spot is... And Spot, for people who don't know, what is that?
I'll start with the Echo Show, is a larger device with a screen that we launched this summer. Echo Spot is the second device with a screen that's a circular 2.5-inch diameter screen. And I'm very excited about this product because it's this great compact form factor that you can sprinkle throughout your home. I have one at work on my desk, and it's super delightful. I have one in my bedroom, and so the screen is actually a way to supplement and kind of augment the experience from a voice perspective, and so we can add supplementary information on the screen, and so I think customers are really going to enjoy Echo Spot.
So this year we saw an expansion. We are familiar with the Echo speakers, no screen, no cameras. Now we're getting into that. There's even a version of Amazon camera that checks your fashion choices in your bedroom. So we have Amazon microphones, Amazon cameras, Amazon screens. You can tell where I'm going with this. Why should we feel safe having these devices in our house?
I can talk about it in two ways. One, we start very much from the customer and work backwards, and we keep privacy in mind. From the beginning of the build, when we think about this, and Echo is a great example of that, where we built in a lot of customer controls and transparency. So you can mute the device. When you speak to Echo, it has a blue LED. It shows you that it's streaming audio to the cloud. You can actually turn on an audible noise, an earcon, a chime that allows you to hear when it's streaming. When you mute the device, it's disconnected electronically, so there's no software that can override that. We give customers control in the app where you can go through and look at your voice history. You can see what has been said to Alexa.
Which is fun, by the way, if you go in and see what your family members are saying to Alexa.
Very fun. I do it when I'm traveling.
Yeah,
I go see what's going on at home. You can delete those recordings. You can delete all of the recordings. And so for us, it's very important to give customers transparency and control and help them understand why we're collecting this information and why you have a camera. And it will always have a customer benefit.
So talk about so that's the voice thing aspect of it. What about the camera aspect of it?
Similar.
Same thing? Yeah.
Similar in the case of the camera, it is there today to detect presence. And so when you walk into a room, it can detect that you're there and the screen will come on. When you're not there, the screen goes off. And it's also there for communication features. So we have video calling.
Right, video chatting.
And video chatting. And so it has a use case. You can also disable that with a click of a button as well.
Okay. So you've built this massive platform already, and it's been how many years since the first Echo? Three-ish?
Yep.
And we had Scott Galloway here from NYU talking about, I think by his estimate, you have about 70% of this market, which it's relatively a small market, but you've leapt ahead of Google, you're ahead of Google, you're ahead of Apple. How do you think about the responsibilities that go with that platform? We've seen Google struggle with this with their search platform, favoring Google services over other stuff. How do you make sure when someone is, let's say, shopping through the app or through Alexa, that they're not only getting like Amazon branded products? If I say I want batteries, I'm getting maybe Duracell instead of the Amazon version of batteries. How do you guys play around with that and the responsibility that comes with this this growing platform?
Yeah, I'm in the case of the shopping example, we will return something similar to what you would get on Amazon search results, and that will be bestseller. So whether it's an Amazon Basics brand, which in the case of batteries I think is a great product, great reviews, and very low prices, but it can also be any other brand. It also is weighed with your past purchase history, and so something that you've purchased before. And the reason why this is actually really hard with voice and shopping is that when you're trying to order or shop via voice, you don't necessarily, customers don't want to hear a long list of products that come back. You really want to give them one choice, maybe two. You want to get it right that first time. And so, it's very much based on sort of Amazon's customer first approach.
If I am building a shopping app, am I allowed to have a shopping skill as a third party outside of Amazon on Alexa?
Meaning if you're maybe a retailer.
If I'm, let's say, Target or Walmart.
Yeah, so we have Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy's on there?
Yeah, Best Buy has a skill that they've
that's
developed.
Totally cool with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look at the music experience, and so Amazon Amazon has Prime Music and Amazon Music Unlimited, but we also have Pandora, Spotify, and others. And so for us, it's important to bring customers choice and selection with the services that we offer.
So we have a lot of marketers in the audience. Can you talk a little bit about how people might want to market or make money through the Alexa platform, whether it's through ad sales or maybe native advertising and a news segment or something like that? Is that allowed on the platform, and what are you seeing there?
So advertising today, what you have today is in content that's streamed on the device, so music, video, news providers. Their advertising is included, which is consistent with what you would experience when you're listening to that content on a mobile device or somewhere else. Beyond that, from a pure advertising perspective, it's something that we want to think really hard about because it can be distracting from a customer experience perspective, and it's something that we want to be very thoughtful about creating a new experience from an advertising perspective and in this case in a primarily voice-based experience. But then we also have ways for developers and companies to make money through we have a paid subscription and upsell program. So we just launched about a month ago with Jeopardy the ability to upsell to Double Jeopardy. So it's a content pack, and you can add it for 99 cents or free with Prime. And so we're starting to...
Did you take a cut of that, or?
I actually don't know. And so for us, it's about driving monetization that drives a direct customer benefit as well. And that will also teach us how customers will use this and what will be acceptable and what is a good user experience. And we have other ways that developers can make money as well, where we pay them from a paid engagement perspective if they have a skill that drives high engagement. We have AWS credits, et cetera. And so we've got a bunch of pieces that we're experimenting with and that we've been rolling out.
So last thing, Alexa's going global. I think how many countries now? Just got Australia?
Yeah, so we just announced Australia last night. We're in India, Japan, Canada, which is releasing soon, UK, Germany, US.
And how does that work? Besides the language, obviously, how is the Alexa experience different in those countries versus what we're seeing right now in the US? Yeah,
so it's fully localized. So we take the Alexa core experience and personality, and a lot of those things stay true. and we localize. And so we have a local voice that has a local accent. We localize skills. We have a robust set of data and knowledge that we have to start understanding.
Does personality go into that too?
It
You
does.
touched on that, yeah.
It does. And so, her personality doesn't radically change. It's really the same everywhere. But, there's a localized piece to it. So if you ask her favorite, an opinion or her favorites, it will change, in different countries. And so we do spend a lot of time on fine-tuning what that localized experience would be. Part of it is we have to understand a language, and then we have to be able to respond back in that language with the proper accents. And so each of these are fully localized.
So when is Alexa fully global? How long?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Years, months?
Years. I mean, this is something we'd love to go faster, but we want to do it the right way. We want customers in each of these countries to love the experience. And so for us, it's you have to balance the speed at which you can do that with really having a delightful experience.